Hi, it's Carol here again. I wanted to show you this version about working on vellum because I knew as soon as I started uploading the one about the pens, I thought there is going to be someone who's going to ask me about the inks and stamping onto vellum. So by no means am I any kind of expert on this, but I'm just going to show you some different inks and how they work on the vellum as well. Okay, so I've got my Stampers Anonymous Tim Holtz Autumn Blueprint stamp, not even used yet. And these are the inks that I'm going to test out. So I've got a Stampin' Up pad, Pretty Peacock. I've got Distress Oxide Forest Moss. I've got Distressing Dusty Concord, couldn't remember the name. Stays On Stone Grey and Versamark, and I'll be using some Paper Mania black embossing powder. Right, so those are the different types that I'm going to use, and we'll see how they work out. Okay, so I'm going to use the Acorn one. And when you get new stamps, a little tip that I learnt was if you put Versamark on it, I mean, to be fair, with the Stampers Anonymous one, you probably don't need to do this, but you put some Versamark on, and then rub it off with your hand, and it makes it now more acceptable to the ink. Don't do much for your hand, like, but there we go. So we'll try the Stampin' Up pad first, if I can get it open. Come on, come out to play. There we go. Now, as I say, I am not hot at stamping, so you're going to have to forgive me if it all goes a bit Pete Tong. And underneath my paper here, because I put the vellum on the black so that you can see it a bit better, I've just got a little foam pad. I have got a stamping platform as well, but I just thought for this example, I don't need to get that out, do I? Okay, here goes. So, Stampin' Up pad. Allow the ink a little time to get from the stamp to the substrate. Okay, so that stamps really nicely on vellum, but I have a feeling that you're going to have to wait for it to dry because, yeah, thought as much, it will smudge. So always wait for them to dry. Okay, so that was the Stampin' Up pad. Let's give this a little wipe over, because these are water-based inks. There's a lot of ink on there, isn't there? Okay, and now we'll try it with the Distress Oxide. And as I say, this colour is Forest Moss. Again, just wait for the ink to transfer, apply a little bit of pressure. So, let's do this one up close. Yeah, again, it smudges because it's wet, so you would need to leave that to dry, or use a heat tool to dry it off. let's go on to the Distress ink. And we'll now use the Dusty Concord Distress ink. And I have a feeling that this one's going to do the same. This one's also going to smudge because it's the water-based ink, so you could spray water on it. Yeah, smudging. So again, that would need drying off or allowing some time for it to dry. So now I'm going to try the Stays On ink, and this is a permanent ink pad. It's a solvent ink pad. So it means that if you sprayed water on top of this, it would not disturb the image. Okay. And that colour was stone grey, because I don't always like to use black. I think black sometimes is a little bit stark. Grey has just got that slightly softer edge to it. Okay. So that's the Stays On. And it's true, it stays on. That's not smudging. So that just shows that that works straight away without any kind of drying time to it. Now I'm going to use my little mini archival ink, and this colour is Plum. And this is also a permanent ink like the Stays On. And the thing is, I know that you will all have different brands of ink, so you might need to test out your own inks on the vellum to see which stays and which needs drying off. Okay, so we'll put you there. Apply a little pressure. That gives a nice crisp finish to it as well. And again, oh, there's a little bit of smudging. I can see a little bit of a pink hue about where I've just rubbed. So not quite as permanent as the Stays On in terms of when you've just stamped it. So you will probably need to leave that to dry a little. Okay, I'm going to go on to the Versamark together with the embossing powder. So I'm going to use a different stamp from that set and then apply the Versamark onto the stamp and then lay it down and apply some pressure. So we want a nice crisp image. So you can't see that unless if I tilt it you can see it. And whilst it's wet, I'm going to put some black embossing powder on it. In. So I'm just going to put my heat tool on, but I'll play it to. I'll put some music on in the background so you don't have to listen to the. Okay, put you on top of there. So there we go, that's the one using the Versamark and the embossing powder. One thing I would say is you need to be careful when doing it on the vellum, because the vellum can actually ripple a little bit if you overheat it, and also if you overheat it, and I don't know whether you'll be able to see this, it sent the vellum a little bit yellow just in that area there because I overheated it with the heat gun. But it just shows that you can use all these different things on the vellum as well. You just need to be a little bit mindful of the fact that the water-based inks, yeah, see that's still smudging, probably need a heat tool on them to just set them. But you can see from the examples that the archival ink, which was this one here, that was still smudging a little bit, even though it had been left a little while. So that maybe needs a little bit of a heat tool on it. And the StazOn ink, that was fine. So probably use a StazOn ink to stamp onto vellum. But as I say, I'm no expert, so you might want to ask those that are in the know a little bit more than I, but I just thought I'd show you some examples. Okay, thanks for joining me again, and I'll see you all again really soon. Bye for now. Bye.